Welcome to Conversations in the Coop. I'm your host, Trinity Director of Athletics, Drew Galbraith. My pleasure to be joined today by one of Trinity's men's basketball players, Henry Vetter. Henry, thanks for coming on the pod.
Thank you.
Well, Henry, we'll kind of dive into everything, but we're going to start with maybe an observation. You spend a lot of time in the gym, honing your craft, getting shots up. Talk to our listeners, talk to our podcast viewers about how many shots you think you take maybe in an average week leading up to the season.
Leading up to the season, well, we actually record a lot of our shots on a shot chart, and I'd say an average around 3,000 or so makes, normally being between 300 to 600 a day. And that's makes, so I'd say takes is probably right around 5,000 attempts a week, in that range, I'd say.
And so do you set, when you're going into the gym or going to the field house to get shots up, do you set a goal for yourself? Do you say, gosh, I'm going to go in and I'm going to finish with X many made threes, made free throws, etc.?
Yeah, normally, I have a pretty stable routine. It's normally always at least 50 form shots, at least 100 free throws, at least 100 threes, and at least 100 mid-range. So, like I said, most times it's like, if I'm only working out once, which is not very often, it's probably around 300, 400, but besides that, I'll go like 200 one session, 200 the next. So I'd say 400 is normally a good gauge for me, depending on how the legs feel.
And how long does that take you, roughly?
Well, if I'm using the shooting machine, the shooting gun, which is I'm very fortunate to have that in this era, it could take honestly only like 45 minutes to an hour. I'd say most shooting workouts on the machine take about 30, 45 minutes. If I'm shooting with a teammate or shooting by myself, probably an hour and 15.
So would you consider yourself either, some people have those routines, like describe themselves as like full-blown, like obsessive personalities, or at the very least superstitious. Do you fall in that category, or is it just the routine? Because last year you led the country in free throw percentage, so that has to kind of affirm what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I'd say I used to be a little more obsessive. It is routine for me. My freshman year, I was very meticulous about getting a certain number of makes, and I had a journal and I'd write it down every day. And so I'd kind of be kind of crazy about getting certain numbers, but I learned that would maybe stress me out a little too much if I didn't get certain numbers on certain days. So I've lean away from tracking as much and just trying to, come into the gym every time and make as many shots as I'm comfortable with making until I feel good. And then, I think the free throws, like I said, normally I'm making at least 100 free throws every day, and that's definitely pretty commonplace for me.
So, Henry grew up in Chicago, born and raised, and just kind of talk about your entree into sports as a young boy in Chicagoland.
Yeah, I always loved sports. Basketball was definitely one of my favorites because I could kind of play year-round. Chicago gets pretty cold in the winter, and we get some snow. So, outdoor sports. Football was fun. I played for a bit, but some of those fall games would get cold. Same with baseball. Some of those fall ball days, I just didn't enjoy as much as staying inside a nice warm gym.
Was there a point with either football or baseball where you were like, it's not for me, or did it just kind of happen naturally where you had some success in basketball?
Yeah, well, honestly, when my family moved to the suburbs, I lived in the city growing up, and then we moved to the suburbs, I just started playing baseball for the new suburban team up there, and I actually had a baseball game and a basketball game in the same day. I had a baseball game at like 10 in the morning, and I had a tournament later that day, and I showed up with my dad to the ballpark, ready in uniform, and I was just kind of like, I don't want to do this, and so we showed up. I didn't even warm up, left the baseball field, and that was the last time I ever put on a baseball uniform. So.
What about football? Was there a lot of basketball players have that moment where, whether it was like, this is either too physical, too cold, too something, and then move on.
Yeah, well, I played quarterback, and my 8th grade year was pretty fun. We won our little 8th grade league or whatever, and so I was like, I'll just ride out on the high note. And then when I went to prep school, I played one more year of football at wide receiver. I played in some JV games, and I also ran specialties with the kickoff unit for varsity. I definitely got my bell rung a few times, so I think it was kind of time for me to leave my focus somewhere else.
So getting back to high school, you head to public school there. You're trying to play basketball, golf in high school, and you've got your own little kind of version of the Michael Jordan story. Sophomore year of basketball, so I'm assuming you played either freshman or JV your first year.
Freshman year I was on the B team my freshman year.
And then you get to sophomore year, got to take that step up to the A team, and what happened?
I just didn't make it. Honestly, I was surprised. I thought I had a good tryout. I went to a really big public school, and it was honestly the sophomore team. That was the team I got cut from. It's like 60-something kids trying out for like 15 spots. So I mean, it was it was a pretty competitive tryout. And back then, I was not nearly as tall or skilled as I was now. I was actually one of the shortest kids on the team. And yeah, I just didn't make the team.
So, what did you kind of take from that? You're in the middle of your sophomore year, haven't hit a growth spurt yet. There's when you're 15 years old, feels like there's a lot working against you, even if there isn't. So what transition? Because then you end up a year later at Canterbury, right?
I think just it was a lot. I mean, it was like basketball was a big part of my social life too. Like, I mean, I was on basketball teams all growing up. Some of my best friends were still on the team. They made the team. It wasn't like I'm just not going to be friends with them just because they made the team and I didn't. And I'd still go to their games. I'd still support them. But I didn't play basketball very much. I play at lunch with kids who weren't athletes, and I really didn't play. It was probably like 4 months, I'd say, that I went without playing competitively or really working out. It was just I wasn't part of a team, and I kind of thought, like, what's the point of me practicing, working out if I'm not going to play? I kind of lost a little sight of where I was going, both in basketball but academically and stuff, and so I thought it was time for just a good change of setting. I love my friends at public school and stuff. I'm still great friends with them today, but definitely needed to change kind of my trajectory going forward. So that's when me and my family decided that it was best for us to pursue other options.
And so your father had gone to Canterbury, so that was probably like option 1A.
Yeah, definitely.
Were there other schools you looked at?
Yeah, we looked at some other prep schools. I mean, a lot of the prep schools around the East Coast. I definitely felt comfortable with Canterbury, just knowing my dad had gone there. He had opened up that idea to me. And also they had probably one of the most competitive basketball programs in New England at the time. I think the year before I got there, they were 20-win team, went to the class championship, and they had a really, really competitive coach who, through some other references, had heard really good things about, and he was the real deal. So you get there. At what point so you're going to repeat your sophomore year there? When does your growth, you say you're going for one of the smaller guys, when does that start kicking in? Yeah, I'd say, on my license it says 5'10", 130 pounds. I got that when I was 16.
So it's all happening kind of around the same time.
Yeah. So I'd say my sophomore year into junior year, I'd say I grew probably 3 or 4 inches. I kind of went from, 5'10" to 6'2", and then junior year into senior year, I grew another 2, probably from 6'2" to 6'4". And yeah, you always say, like, when people always just like, when did you grow? It's really hard to tell, like, when it happens to you. Like, you just don't. It just kind of happens. Like, it's not like I wake up and I just notice I'm instantly taller. But I was getting bigger, and that was kind of part of. It was interesting for me because I still had to like fill out my frame, and it happens quick, and it's not like you can just tack on weight like that. So it's a pretty long process. But for me, it didn't feel like it happened overnight. It definitely, like I said, I was short for a while, and I heard it from my friends and teammates, but I kind of got the last laugh.
So when you're going back, over the summer and seeing your friends, and you're coming back, because they're only seeing you every 7 months.
No, people
were those conversations.
People were shocked. Definitely, people were. They thought I had, stilts in my shoes or pads holding me up. I had pictures from my sophomore year of me standing next to buddies who were towering over me, and like you said, I'd come back in the summer and I'm taller than them, and it's a pretty common joke, especially like I'm sure even this Thanksgiving I'll go home and I'll see some friends and they'll ask me if I got even taller again. So it's pretty funny. I enjoy it for me at least. They might not enjoy it as much because they had their time, but it's pretty cool for me.
Well, and you're the tall one now. So it worked out pretty well. So. Just talk through the process at Canterbury. Obviously, you said your coach was an inspiration for you and kind of really getting some of that passion for the game back, and then how those seasons go.
Yeah, well, I think it was definitely a learning curve for me. Like I said, my sophomore year, still pretty short, pretty undersized, and we had a really skilled team. I think we had 8 seniors graduate that year, and at least 6 of them went to play college basketball. And some really good players. I know our point guard Trey plays at Pace now. He led all of Division II in assists last year. Just a really talented player. We had a ton of talented players. And we went 25-2 that year, as school record, and won our Class B in New England. And I didn't really play a lick. We played 27 games. I probably got in 12 of them, and we were all 25-30 in all those games. I think I might have had 10 whole points whole year, and that's people just trying to feed me because I'm the kid at the end of the bench trying to get in. But it was cool for me because I wasn't expecting to play. I knew I was undersized. I knew I really just started to get back into it. But it was cool because I had a lot of teammates who were really good around me, and just to see that, just to be around guys who worked really hard and aspired to play at the collegiate level, that definitely rubbed off on me a little bit. And then my junior year was COVID year, so we didn't really played 8 games. I broke my left hand towards the end of that year, so I only played like 4 games. And for me, it was just kind of like a lot of workouts. I mean, I wasn't playing. My sophomore year at public school, I didn't play. Sophomore year at prep school again, really didn't play. Junior year COVID, really didn't play. So that's kind of like 3 years where I'm just working on my game a lot, but I'm not getting a whole lot of live action. And then even my senior year to start that year, I was coming off the bench. I knew I was a good player. That's kind of when I started. I played well in some of our open gym. Again, we had a really talented team. I think, 8 seniors graduated, 6 or 7 are playing college sports. And we were really talented. I played well in some open gyms. I started to talk to some schools, but I wasn't fully confident in my abilities yet. And then right around winter break, I don't really know. We played some games, and I started to heat up, and my confidence started to build, and that's kind of when I started to turn into a real player, I guess. And I got lucky along the way too. I mean, one of the guards on our team he played football, and he blew out his knee, and he was a great teammate. But I got that was lucky for me in that aspect. We would have been competing for minutes, and he was out the whole season, so I kind of had to step into a new role and play a lot more, and that was very fortunate for me. But I stayed after it. Like I said, I had a coach that was really bad process orientated. He kind of told me my sophomore year, you stick with it, you're gonna play, and you can play in college. And I kind of thought he was crazy at first, but I kind of just willed through and kept going, and it kind of led me to here.
So you and teammate Trevor McDonald were at Canterbury together. Just talk to Trevor committed to Trinity before you did. Do you remember seeing Kaz or former assistant Trey Witter come in the gym ever and say
totally?
So what was that?
So Trevor committed over the summer going into our senior year, and like I said, all through fall at prep school we have these open gyms twice a week. College coaches come, and we had a good amount of college coaches coming. And so Coach Kaz and our assistant at the time, Coach Witter, they'd be pretty frequent. I mean, Canterbury's only about an hour from here. So they'd be in a good amount, and they're obviously watching Trevor, but then they started to see me play, and so I kind of talked to Kaz a little bit, and Coach Kaz and Coach Witter, and even Trevor was kind of pitching his own pitch to me, and I think that was pretty helpful for me, just because Trevor and I have been great friends, and I knew I could listen to him. Not that I didn't trust what Coach Kaz or Coach Witter had to say, but it was just a different perspective from someone that I knew was kind of on the same level as me as a student athlete, looking for our best going forward. And it was pretty cool. Honestly, it was pretty cool just having a teammate that was kind of buying for me too, alongside some coaches.
So you make the decision to go to Trinity. You're excited for that first year, and it was a big class. Your current junior class was a big class. So just talk about your impressions coming in, and then once again, injury bug kind of bit a little bit early on in your first year.
Yeah. So like you said, it was we had 7 guys on the team as freshmen, and a lot of talented players. And I didn't really know what the scene was going to be like. Coach Kaz is he guarantees nothing, and I knew that, and so I kind of just put my head down and kind of started working out a lot, and kind of what I had always done. And let's say month into preseason, I had rolled my ankle pretty bad. which it stunk. You know, I wanted to be out there, I wanted to be playing, but I kind of just did what I could to stay ready. I was in a boot for like a couple weeks, and I'd still go in the gym and shoot. I'd shoot off 1 foot on the shooting machine. I'd still get like 300 bakes all off 1 foot. And you know, it wasn't easy, but I just kept doing it because I knew I had to do whatever I could to stay ready and stay prepared if the moment came. And then, yeah, I kind of got back, got healthy. I missed like the first week or two of practice, but kind of assimilated myself back in kind of seamlessly, and was very fortunate enough to have the opportunity to play a little bit my freshman year, and kind of worked up the ranks as the year went on, and you know, kept, like I said, just kept working on my game, kept staying after it, kept taking care of my body, and fortunately enough, I was able to play in all the games my freshman year.
Team, I think a lot of people thought that team maybe left a few wins out there that year. You ended up winning Conference Rookie of the Year that year. Do you remember you came in and actually met with me maybe 3 or 4 days after the season? Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
So I'm thinking, here's a young man who's just won Conference Rookie of the Year, going to be jumping in the portal, and you had a very different take. And do you remember what you asked me?
Yeah, well, I kind of was just curious about what we could do, just like make the program a little more stronger.
Cohesive.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I think we had some riffs in the team, and a lot of it fell on us as players. I mean, there's not much you can do. You're not in the locker room, as much as I love for you to help. But you know, we had some riffs, and it was unfortunate because we had a really talented team, and that's one thing Coach Cosgrove and Coach Witter have done, and even Coach King now is like we recruit really good players. You know, we get some really high level prospects at Trinity, and we had a really talented team. We started off that year really hot. We were, I think, 14-2, and then lost 8 of our next 10. It sucked. It sucked. I mean, losing is no fun. No one likes to lose, especially, you know, you're sitting there 14-2 thinking, you know, what's this year going to turn out to be? And then we get the conference play, and it's kind of just like, you know, just throwing stuff away. But I think, you know, we had a lot of talent returning the next year, and I think that was kind of what we all knew is, you know, we let last year get away, but God forbid if we let next year get away. And I think that was an attitude that I wanted to have, and a lot of our teammates had, and that's why, you know, we were able to come back the next year and be super successful and have, you know, kind of a storybook season for the program.
So when you're sitting there at the end of your first year, and of course hopes and dreams, but it takes hard work.
Mm-hmm.
What were the things that you noticed in yourself, in your teammates last year, in your sophomore year, the team goes 30-2, goes to the Final Four, wins an SCIAC championship? What were the differences in behavior, in how guys treat each other, in how they prepared?
Yeah, I just think some of the energy. You know, I mean, it felt a little easy at first just because we were kind of steamrolling through some teams, and you know, life is sweet when you're winning. You know, it's kind of easy to just coast when you're getting wins, and you know, everyone's happy when you're winning. But you know, compared our first loss my freshman year was to Western New England, and that was right before break, and that one kind of stung just because it was like sour taste in our mouth for a few weeks, and I think it kind of, the energy of that kind of just carried over a little bit into the, you know, after break. But last year our first loss was at Williams, and that was a really tough loss. Not only the year before did they come in our gym and, you know, beat the snot out of us, but they sent us home in the playoffs, first round of the quarterfinals, and then, you know, at that point we were 20-0, you know, having, you know, best start in program history, and you know, we kind of threw a game away. A game we were up 9 with minute 12. And, you know, they just started raining threes. We're missing free throws, not executing, and you know, lose a game. But we had a game the next day at Middlebury, and I think, you know, previous years we kind of would have sulked, kind of like wept, and we turned around and we started off the game. I think we were up like 15-2 to start the game, and it was never really a contest. And just went in there, packed Middlebury up, and got a win. And I think that was kind of like big part of our team was like just a big next play mentality, next man up, and didn't sulk. You know, we knew we let that game slip away, but you know, we had a game that day, and the only thing worse than one loss is 2. And so we kind of got our stuff together and came in, beat Middlebury, and kind of let that continue and carry over. And I think that was, you know, same thing my freshman year. We kind of lose some back-to-backs, and it's like, like I said, only thing worse than 1 is 2. And so we were able to get that win at Middlebury, and I think that was kind of a defining win for our year. Just in terms of not letting one loss get to right, because we would have loved to go undefeated, but that's just, no one's going on. It's really, really, really rare. And so we kind of just accepted that we lost the game, so what? We're gonna go get another win, and then be able to get another win, keep going after that.
So when you think about it, you've played on good teams before. When you're going through a season like that, had you ever been on a team where for those 6-7 months, everybody was kind of so unified towards the goal, towards whatever was best for the team?
Honestly, no, not like that. Last year was really special. Wins and losses aside, 30-2 speaks for itself, and that was really cool. But I think just a sacrifice all around. We played a lot of guys. You don't see people subbing 5 in, 5 out ever anywhere. And people criticized it and whatever, but it worked for us. And I think just a lot of people sacrificed, and not people aside from me really. I think we had a lot of guys in the starting rotation, off the bench that could be at other schools doing scoring this many points or doing all this rah stuff. But I think guys came here because they knew the kind of program that we're trying to build and the program that we have. And we had a really tight culture where we were worried about wins and putting up banners in the gym. And I think Coach Kaz is really good at in that aspect of making sure guys are focused about stuff that really matters. And he'd always say, like, no one really remembers how many points guys had. 20 years from now, they're gonna remember who won what, who did what. And like I said, no one remembers how many points Ben or I had or anyone else had in any games. It's, we got a banner that says we were 30-2, we went to the Final Four, we won the NESCAC, and that's the stuff that really endures and preserves throughout your life. And it was really cool for, I think, everyone to be a part of that. 1 through 17, everyone on the team played a big role, even some of the guys on the bench who never got in games really. They're big practice players, and they really helped our team from an energy perspective, and they kind of helped the culture too. Because if they can buy in, then so can the guy at the top. So I think that was really big for us.
There were a couple of special moments last season. One of which was the NESCAC championship game at Williams. You both played in that gym the day before. Trinity beats Tufts. Then you get Williams on Sunday afternoon. Kind of a muck it up game. And got to dig deep and find a way. Just talk about that. That second half there against Williams in many ways really defined last year's.
Yeah, totally. I think Coach Kaz describes it best that that game's a rock fight. That game's it's grimy, it's gritty, no free buckets. Scores in the 50. You just don't see that a lot in a lot of college games.
Mm-hmm.
And in their gym, they got tons of fans there. Like I said, they beat us the year before. It's just, it was honestly just picture perfect just because, like I said, we had lost them. They kind of had our number, and, it was a tight game. It was back and forth, and I think, the way our team was able to buy in, and, like I said, people didn't care how much they were playing. Everyone was, let's go win an SCAC title. Let's go do something that hasn't been done in a while here. And I remember that game, I believe Ben scored his 1,000th point.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Kaz, it's funny because Coach Kaz, he's right. It's all about the team and stuff. And he took a second in one of the timeout huddles to mention, oh Ben, you just scored your 1,000th. Like, let's go win the game. And I think that kind of sums up. There's one moment for one player, but it was never about any one player on our team. It was about the team, and we were able to grind that out, get a big win, and that was something that I'm sure me and all my teammates will never forget.
And then you get to play 4 home NCAA tournament games, 2 weekends in a row. Good crowds, even with spring break, had really good crowds. Just talk about that. That kind of the whole season, but like those 3 weeks in particular, it just seemed like basketball was the forefront of everybody's mind.
Yeah, no, it was special. It was definitely special. I've never been a part of something like it. I just felt like the school was kind of behind us, and it was really cool. It was cool to see people from not just athletic teams, but just all around campus coming out supporting the games. They played a big role. People don't realize how big big of a deal, momentum and energy is in basketball. Like it's everything. Being on the other side of it, like, when teams hit threes in your face or, are going on a run and the crowd's into it, it kind of feels like the world's crashing down on you. And for us to have that advantage in, some of the biggest games of the year was massive. For some people it's fun, but I think that's one thing people don't realize is, like, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference from a competitive standpoint. It is fun. Basketball's a really fun sport to watch. I'm glad people enjoy the games. But it's like we need them for more than just enjoyment. Like, we need them to, like, help us win. And so that was really cool to have people bought into that and, witness kind of, the special year that we were having. And, it was cool. I think Mike, our trainer, said, that was some of the most full he's ever seen the gym. It was definitely the most full I've ever seen it with my two eyes. So it was really cool, and like I said, something that I'll never forget.
You had a game against Tufts in the Sweet 16 where, in each of the other NCAA tournament games, different guys had stepped up, and that was your team needed you then.
Yeah.
Second half, possession game, and you really took over. I think you ended up with 28 points in that game. Just talk about, like, when you were feeling it and knew your team needed you in that second half of that game.
Yeah, well, I think it's just a lot. One, I work really hard on my game, so even when I'm not feeling it, I am feeling it in a way. That's just kind of part of the confidence for me, and that's kind of why I work out as much as I do. It really helps fuel your confidence, and when you see the ball going in practice, that's all you're thinking about in games. And like you said, we had tons of other games where people stepped up. The next game, Tristan played big minutes, Drew Lazar played big minutes. Our second five kind of dominated against Calvin. But that, I think that's kind of why our team was so successful. Is that Tufts game was a game when I kind of got it going, and no one really cared what else were going on. They kind of saw I had it going, and got me the ball in spots where I could score and deliver. And that's as much as people want to say, oh, like I scored the points, I made the shots. It really is just credit to my teammates and my coaches for trusting me in those moments, getting me the ball, and kind of letting me do what I can do. And I can score at will when I want. And that was a game where I got it going, I got hot, and no one said, well, I want to shoot this. They kind of just swung me the ball and let me get going. And it's a fun feeling. When you get in that people call it the flow state. You're not really thinking, you're not really analyzing, you're kind of just playing. And for me, that's it's kind of a blur. You're just going out and playing basketball, and doing what I do in practice and in workouts, and see it pay off. It feels good.
Have you noticed as you kind of turn the page, not only last year, and it was certainly happening last year, but you came out last weekend, and so now you've played your first few games of this season. Do you sense in a different way that you're some of the focus of the other team's scout? So when you show up, it's like, hey, there's a guy who's maybe last year he might have been 2 or 3 feet away, and now I cross half court, and there's somebody in my face, and it feels oftentimes when you're playing Trinity, you kind of pick your poison.
Yeah.
Right? We can take away these outside shots, and then we're going to get posts in the corner, hit threes, or get inside. Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that I thought about a lot coming into the season. Watching film and also talking to some of my other mentors, coaches, and trainers. It's like, I had a good year last year, but it's not like that's unbeknownst to other teams, other people. So it's like I'm gonna be on people's radar, and I think for me it's kind of finding the balance. Letting the game come to me, and also using that to my advantage. Like, yeah, they might be up on me, but that opens up driving lanes for other guys on the team. That's going to provide opportunities for other guys to score. And, if they're trying to take me out of the game, good. They can come guard me wherever they want, but all that means is that there's more room in the paint for other guys to get touches and other guys to score. And that's why we're going to be successful as a team. It's never been a one-man. We got lots of guys that can do lots of things. We got guys on our bench that, haven't played in these first couple games of the season that can really go, that can really get it going. And, that I think that's why, we're going to be good as a team if we stay together, is we have so many options, so many weapons that, yeah, you take one thing away, we got something else coming at you. And, I'm looking forward to that. Just trying to get other guys involved when I can, still being aggressive and still staying confident in what I can do, but, really taking what the defense gives us. And, some nights if they want us into, or, take me away, good. We got plenty of other guys that can punish you and make you pay for that.
So we've talked a lot about basketball.
Yeah.
There are other things that go on in your college life here. You're a film studies major. Certainly the idea of content creation is in your mind. Talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about a film you made about former teammate.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I like sports a lot, and I definitely want to work in sports. And I thought, my parents have always been big on do something that you like and do something you enjoy. And I really like making videos, and my dad always made these funny YouTube videos of me and my sister, and I think it's just cool to have memories, stuff on film that you can go look back on. And for me, my freshman year, I had this GoPro that I would kind of carry around and record. I honestly was inspired by one of my teammates at prep school who he had one of the old camcorders that you kind of flip open and you record, and he kind of carried it around our senior year at Canterbury, and he made like a little mini doc of our senior year or our senior season. And for me, it was just really cool because that's, you as much as you want to remember it, to have like a video, something to look back on, it's really cool, and something that I'm sure I'll watch 10 years from now and be like, those are some good times. And so my freshman year I kind of recorded on a GoPro, and I got like 30 hours of film on a GoPro of bus rides, locker room, workouts, in the dining hall, stuff that's, it may seem kind of like mundane or like silly, but I think when I look back, those, that was when, a freshman in college, just living life, just, having fun. And so that's cool for me. And, I took a filmmaking class last semester where it was a documentary class, and, we had to make a film about someone or something, and, I chose one of our teammates from last year, Ben Kelly in gold, who, has crazy background. He has four moms, and it was titled Mama's Boy. And that was a really cool experience for me, not only because it was cool to share Ben's story, and honestly I had a lot of people watch it. Our team watched it, and I had a lot of people outside of my immediate friend group asking to watch it. I don't really know how word got around, but people saw it. And it was cool for me because it was cool to share someone else's story, but also I think Ben and his family were really appreciative of me making almost a memory for them. And I know how happy his mom was, and that was kind of cool for me to like know that I made something that can positively impact someone else and other people. And that's kind of what I like about film. I think film's a great medium for telling stories, showing life in a different perspective.
I missed it earlier, but we can kind of name check your sister. So she's just finishing up her first year of college sports. Tell us about her.
Yeah, my sister Anna, she's a beast. She plays volleyball. She's an outside hitter. She goes to Miami, Ohio. She had a pretty good first year. Didn't win as much as they liked, but she's still working through it. I mean, she was a freshman in the starting rotation, so that was really cool, I think, for my parents to see. It's also nice that volleyball is kind of a good segue into basketball season. Volleyball's fall, and then it kind of ends right when
very
basketball
little competition
starts.
for their time.
Exactly. So I think my dad's really, really excited about that. But she's a stud. I mean, she was conference player of the year senior in high school, and I think she was leading in some statistical categories for her team this year, which is pretty cool as a freshman. Not often that happens, so hopefully she'll have some big years to come.
And we got away from basketball a little bit, but you still like the golf course.
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier, so where's that passion take you?
Yeah, I think golf's a great sport. I think if I didn't love basketball as much as I do, I'd play golf as much more than I do. And I play a lot of golf still. I just think golf is it's a really nice contrast to basketball. Basketball is one of the faster paced sports you'll get. And golf, I mean, for any athlete, I think would agree, is just a really nice way to just relax while still competing. And that's I'm a really competitive person. I always want to compete, whether it's in sports or, honestly anything. I'm always finding a way to make something competitive, make something scoreable, win. I think golf is just, one, it's like, for me, it's really a nice way to connect with my dad. I think me and my dad have, part of our relationship growing up has been golf. I think, people who have, know what I'm talking about when they go golf with their dad. It's just like, it's really special. And I think like even our father-son golf tournament at the club every year is like one of the best days of the year. Because it's just, it's just awesome. It's just awesome.
Have you come close to winning it?
Yeah. We took second place 2 years in a row, actually.
Last. When do you age out?
I know. This is like my last year, I think. But last year, our closest father and son won, and they're not better than us, but they got more strokes. So that kind of pissed us off. But I did win a 3-wood one year, so that was cool. But I think golf is just a really, really nice way to kind of still be competitive and still play sport, but really just disconnect from everything. It's a nice way to get outside, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun. It's hard. It's hard, and it'll test your mental more than basketball will at times.
Well, Henry, it's been fun chatting with you. Looking forward to seeing the season. So, for people who watched last year's team, they saw a kind of a front-running, fast-paced team, shoot lots of threes. I know we're going to see a lot of that again, but just distinguish a little bit of what people might see that's different from this year's team than last year's team.
Yeah, honestly, I thought we played pretty fast this year. I think we're going to play faster this year. I think right now we're starting 3 guards. Last year we're 2 guards, 3 forwards. So I think even more so this year we're going to get up and down the court. We're going to get threes up. We're going to run our break, and I think a lot of our principles are going to be similar. We're going to play a really team-based game. It's not like I said, it's not going to be relying on one person. We're going to have a lot of people that contribute, and I think that's fun. I think it's fun for everyone because everyone on the team gets to be a part of that. But people watching, it's like it's cool. It's cool when everyone's kind of chipping in on one game. One person might do it the next. So I think people can expect us to play as a team and play together, and I think that's enjoyable because when people on the court are having fun, it's people have fun in the stands.
So last question, Coach Cosgrove is lovable. He is idiosyncratic. He's known for his intensity, but also kind of a big teddy bear around the department. Does anyone on the team do a good impression of Coach Cosgrove? And if so, who's the best?
I think everyone can. I think everyone at this point, even some of the freshmen so far, can give their own Cos impression. I think I could give a pretty good pregame impression. I think I'd say probably I'd say Alex Douglas. I'd say the seniors. Alex Douglas.
Most time.
They know his ins and outs both through winning and losing. Me as well. I'd say Alex Douglas probably could do the best Cos impression.
Is it kind of a rite of passage on the team that you've had to go through enough of the Cosisms to really be able to get the full
definitely.
character?
I think even some of the freshmen now, you might think you know Cos, but you don't. And that's kind of the beauty of it. He gets better every year. He is a wonderful coach, a wonderful person, and yeah, I think everyone on the team can give a good impression. And like you said, he is pretty intense, but that's why we've been good, and that's why he's been such a successful coach in his career. He's locked in, and he cares about winning, and he cares about his players. So, yeah, I think Alex can give a good impression, a good impression. I'm saying not something that make him look bad, but it's but do him right. So I think that's good.
Awesome, Henry. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time, and best of luck to your teammates the rest of the season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That'll do it for this conversation on the Coop. For all the latest news, scores, and schedules, go to bantamsports.com. Follow us on social @bantamsports. Until next time.